Welcome back to AM Northwest. Our next guest is a best-selling author, an award-winning podcaster, and a self-professed happiness expert. Now she's offering up simple truths for navigating life. We welcome the author of Secrets of Adulthood, Gretchen Rubin. Hi, Gretchen.
Hello, I'm so happy to be talking to you.
I'm glad to be talking with you, too. In fact, I might be happy about this. So let's talk about your inspiration behind this book.
Well, a couple things came together. First of all, I wanted to make note of the secrets of adulthood that I learned with time and experience, usually the hard way.
Yeah.
So that I could pass these along to my two daughters, but also so that I could remind myself of everything I'd learned. You know, a lot of times you just have to keep learning the same lesson over and over. And I also wanted to challenge myself to express these truths in a kind of a short, concise form, to really distill what I'd learned into kind of snappy sentences so that they were more memorable in the mind. So that became Secrets of Adulthood.
Give me an example.
Well, we can accept ourselves and also expect more from ourselves.
Oh.
You know, both are true. Both are important for a happy life.
Have your daughters read the book?
Yes, they have, and they feel like they've lived it. You know, I've been telling them, I've been repeating a lot of these lines over the years. So yes, absolutely.
What do they relate to most?
Well, I think one of my daughters really relates to one of the secrets of adulthood related to procrastination, which is working is one of the most dangerous forms of procrastination. Because, you know, things like doing research or, you know, I'm going to clear some clutter. You feel like you're working, but you're actually procrastinating.
Yes, that is so true.
Yeah, and then my other daughter likes the one, something that can be done at any time is often done at no time. Meaning, you know, a lot of times we need to give ourselves a specific date or deadline, or else we just put it off forever.
Which ones did you relate to most?
Well, one of them is that the days are long, but the years are short. This is something that I reminded myself of when my daughters were very young, and it's more true now than ever.
Absolutely. Let me go to, we care for many people we don't particularly care for. This seems really powerful, but I need you to go into it a little bit more for me.
Well, I think sometimes we're confused because we think, well, on the one hand, I don't really care for this person, but then at the same time, we really do care for them. I think both things can be true. And so, again, in this Secret of Adulthood is to try to capture that tension in a way that we can understand better.
Also, perfectionism is driven not by high standards, but by anxiety.
Yeah, sometimes when people struggle with perfectionism, they think that the answer would be to lower their standards. And then they might say, well, I don't want to lower my standards. I want to keep my standards high. But perfectionism isn't really about high standards. It's about feeling anxious about your performance. And so to deal with the problem of perfectionism, you have to think about why are you feeling anxious, not about lowering your standards.
Were there some things growing up, things that you learned over time that you included in the book that made you feel like, I really need to, or I need to touch on this with my girls. I need to make sure they understand this so they don't have to worry about being perfect.
Right. No, absolutely. Because you want to know that just doing your best is what you need to move forward in life. And one of the things that I often remind them of, and I also remind myself of, is that when we're not sure about how to move forward, sometimes the pros and cons feel very equally balanced and it can be hard to know how to move forward, that one very clarifying idea is to choose the bigger life. For instance, in our family, we couldn't decide whether or not to get a dog because, you know, the inconvenience and the responsibility seemed to be equally weighed with the fun. I at least felt very indecisive about it. And then I thought, well, let's choose the bigger life. And for another family, the bigger life might be to not get a dog because then you'd have more freedom, you'd have more money to spend on other things, you'd have less responsibility. But I knew that for our family, the bigger life meant getting the dog. And we got our dog, and we love our dog so much.
Yes,
so,
well, we're big dog fans around here. Tell me
Yes.
about your doodle.
Yes, he's 10 years old. And we're going to get another puppy very soon. So he's going to have company. He's a very social dog, so we think he'll really enjoy that. But yes, he brought so much joy into our life that it's hard to remember why we had a hard time deciding to get a dog. But really, it was very hard to make that call.
Okay, so you have the bigger life now. with your dog and what's going to be your two dogs. You have a
Yes.
bigger life. How is it bigger? Is it that you talk to people when you're walking down the street when they comment on your dog?
Absolutely. It's that. It's also that there's just more love, there's more life. You know, with our family, we'll send pictures back and forth. We love to buy him like a new toy. Our dog really likes toys. Some dogs are not that into toys. Our dog really loves toys. I'm traveling right now. My husband sent a video of our dog snoring to all of us, and we just all thought it was so incredibly cute to have this video of a snoring dog. So it's something that brings us all together with this common joyful relationship. You know, the unconditional love of dogs is really adds to life.
It really does. I totally agree with you. Let me try another one on you. What we do every day matters more than what we do once in a while.
Well, this is very important to remember because, you know, I think we've all fallen into that trap of thinking like, well, I'll exercise, but, you know, it's like once every 6 months you go for a 3-mile run. Well, it's really more effective to go for a 20-minute walk every day than the longer exercise that you do once in a while. Or it's better to see friends casually, frequently, than, you know, every several years to have an elaborate dinner party. What we do every day matters more than what we do once in a while.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. What would be, you know, right now I think everyone's feeling the stress of financial crisis coming our way. What would be something you would say to that? What would be a good aphorism for that?
Well, a very practical one. This is at the end of the book. I have some practical secrets of adulthood that don't really rise to the same level, but they're useful. And one thing is, if you're a person who tends to overbuy or you tend to buy things before you need them, you can remember that you can store them at the store. You don't need to go ahead and buy them if you don't need them just yet. Just store them at the store, and they'll keep them for you. And so that's a way. If you tend to be an impulse shopper, that can be a helpful secret of adulthood.
Yeah, it's a good idea. We want to tell everyone the book again is titled The Secrets of Adulthood. Gretchen Rubin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.